Right, good morning and welcome to another intellectual episode of The Agenda. I am Chike Ubo. I'm truly honored to have an intellectual giant, a global scholar, and a beacon of African history and culture join us on today's episode. His name is Professor Toyin Falola. For those who may not yet know, Professor Falola is a name synonymous with excellence in African historiography, cultural studies, and global intellectual discourse. He's a Nigerian historian, a university distinguished teaching professor, and the Jacob and Frances Sanga Musinga Chair in the Humanities at the University of Texas at Austin. With over 150 books authored, Professor Falola's work has redefined how we understand Africa's past, the present, and the future. His scholarship spans African history, politics, and culture, with seminal works like A History of Nigeria and Colonialism and Violence in Nigeria, earning him accolades worldwide. But what makes Professor Toyin Falola truly remarkable is his ability to bridge the academic with the accessible, making history a living, breathing narrative that speaks to us all. Well, beyond his academic achievements, Professor Falola is a mentor, a thought leader, and a passionate advocate for African agency in global conversations. He has been recognized with countless awards, including the prestigious Kluge Chair of the Countries and Cultures of the South by the Library of Congress, and multiple honorary doctorates from universities across Africa and beyond. Today, we're diving into a conversation that promises to be both enlightening and inspiring. Professor Falola will share his insights on Ibadan in history, issues in tradition and modernity. So whether you are a student of history, a lover of African culture, or simply curious about the forces shaping our world, you are in for a treat. So stay with us as we unpack these critical issues. Professor Falola, it's an honor to have you here in the studio. Good morning, Prof.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to be here, and I'm coming here for the first time. It's an impressive building.
Thank you.
And an impressive studio.
Thank you.
And the cast of the staff, they're intelligent and beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And I love the prints on you.
Thank
you designed this yourself?
Yes, I'm a designer.
Oh, interesting.
My father was a successful tailor.
Interesting.
In the 40s and 30s.
Wow.
Succeeded so much. He was one of the people who contributed to building the St. James's Cathedral.
Oh, St. James's the Great.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
And they gave him, when you enter the cemetery, his is one of the very, you will see.
Wow.
As a payback.
So you were born an Anglican?
Yes, and I would them serve in the choir at St. Peter's.
Wow, Arimo?
For some years.
Oh, interesting.
And I somersaulted to become a pagan.
Why?
I am now.
Well, that's a discussion for another day. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, let's start at the inception. And then for our dear listener and viewer who might not be familiar, Prof, can you give us a brief overview of Ibadan's founding and its early historical significance?
Thank you. And I'm sure you are aware I'm the Baba Kwiton of Ibadan land.
Yes.
The historian of the city.
Of the city. The official historian of the city.
And I grew up in the city.
Yes.
And on the city, I've done academic books and memoir.
Yeah.
I did my PhD on the city. Then I did 2 books on the city. Then I did a 1,000-page book published by Bookcraft on the city. And then I did memoirs. Memoirs of my first 12 years. And then I'm a high school dropout. I dropped out of high school to join the Agbekoya movement.
Wow.
I didn't finish high school.
You didn't finish high school?
I just spent 2 years. And I did another memoir on it, Counting the Tiger's Teeth. And last week, my 3rd memoir was released on the city, Malaika and the 7 Heavens. That's the title of it, talking about the Islamic communities in the city. The early history of Ibadan, I will explain it in the layman's way, leaving out all the complications. So the Yoruba, if you ask them what is your origin, they fall into 3 patterns.
Okay.
The first one is I call that the fundamentalist pattern. Where do you come from? We come from here. They will point to the land itself. And the stories of the chain that Obatala descended from heaven and the cock. Those are fundamentalist stories that where do you come from? It's from here. Ibadan doesn't fall into that pattern of fundamentalist history.
Okay.
The second is primary migrations. So where do you come from? The Awujale said, of the late Awujale, said they're from Sudan, right?
Okay.
And there are some Ile-Ife stories that will say the children of Lamurudu from the Middle East.
Yes.
And some Igbo will say they are Jewish because they came from Israel. We call those primary migration.
Okay.
Ibadan doesn't fall into the primary migration pattern. And then there's a secondary migration. In that secondary migration, they can say Oduduwa had 7 children. And these 7 children, like Oromiyan, left Ile-Ife. Oromiyan founded Oyo. Those are secondary, arising from the primary. Ibadan doesn't fall into that. So what does Ibadan fall into? It falls into 2 distinctive patterns.
Okay.
So in which the city had 3 multiple histories that are not necessarily connected. So we call it Ibadan 1, Ibadan 2, Ibadan 3.
Okay.
The Ibadan you are talking about now is Ibadan 3.
This Ibadan
Yes.
is Ibadan 3.
Yes.
Tell me more, sir.
Because the first one they will say is founded by Lagelu,
Yes.
who came from Ile-Ife.
Okay.
That is a secondary migration.
Migration.
Or the Ibadan that you know, we can date it. It was a 19th century town. It arose because an empire called the Oyo Empire. Not the Oyo Empire that is
That
now.
we have today.
That's Oyo Atiba.
That's what we have today is the Oyo
Oyo
Atiba.
Atiba is different from.
Is it also different from Oyo Ile?
That's different too.
Okay.
Because Oyo Oromiyan passed through so multiple centers.
Ibiti Ile Yo Eshion Romiyo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because Oyo used to be located in the area where we now call it Igboho side, and many of Alafin were buried in Igboho. The burial site is still there.
It's still there.
As I talk. So Oyo Empire, the crisis that led to its fall, began in the 18th century, late in the 18th century, in a series of crises. You must have heard about Afonja,
Alimi.
Abiodun, you must have heard about all of them.
Yes.
You must have heard about the Fulani penetration and the jihad from the north.
The north.
The Sokoto jihad.
Yeah.
So by the second decade of the 19th century, that Oyo Empire collapsed. And as it collapsed, it created a flood of movements. Some people fled in the area of the north. Some people moved towards what you now call the army. And some people moved towards the forest. And some people moved towards the savannah. And as they moved, the pressure of other people to move, as the Egba people, part of what you call Ibadan today, the Egba people used to live there. And then they now pressure them to move to Abeokuta.
Okay.
In 1829, the faction that moved out of the collapse of your empire established a war camp here.
Okay.
That is just its history. The third Ibadan
It's the war
founded-
camp.
War camp is a city of refugees
About
by the edge of the savannah. That is the landscape. Yeah, because they were running away from the northern section of the Yoruba, and they moved here and they settled there and became successful. And I need to break this history down for you
yeah. So
in a
for
way
easy
that,
understanding.
yes, in ways that people do not usually do.
Okay, so with what you just said now, is it looking like an idea of a Republican tradition in pre-colonial Africa?
Okay, so,
When you talk about the migrations.
well, Africans have always been migrating.
Okay.
And you can devote an entire program to that. We've always been moving. The entire Southern Africa, the people originally moved from the area of Cameroon. We call it the Bantu migration.
Bantu migration.
We have always been moving historically.
So would you say Africans are nomadic?
I won't put it that way, but we move.
Okay.
We move and keep moving, and today we're still moving. We have never been, we are not nomads, we are not pastoralists,
Okay.
but we have always been moving.
Okay.
Yeah, so movement is not new to us historically. But what then happened in the case of Ibadan is that as they moved, new patterns emerged.
Okay.
And I will break it down for you. There are those who created conglomerates, conglomerate city-states. Example, Abeokuta. So the Egba, they are conglomerates. Egba Gbagura, Egba Owu, Egba Okeono, Egba Alake, they are all kings in the same city. There are some Yoruba cities with multiple kings.
Yes.
You understand? There's even a Yoruba city with 7 kings. So they are conglomerates. And the British now made one of them superior. You understand?
Yeah.
Ibadan did not follow a conglomerate pattern.
Okay.
It was a republic, but not conglomerate.
Okay. So Ibadan followed a Republican pattern.
Yes,
Okay.
but not conglomerate. Because if it had been conglomerate, all those war generals,
Would have become kings.
yes, in their own clusters. Like Oje would have been,
We have had the king in Oji,
Yeah, okay,
in Salemsi, we have
yeah.
had the king. So all the Agboles
yes,
would have had kings
as conglomerates.
as conglomerates.
Yes, but Ibadan did not follow that pattern. And in not following that pattern, it broke away in the following ways. First, establishing initially a military system of government.
Okay.
That's how it started. My, the earliest of the refugees, right? Ogumola, Latosha, these were warriors.
Warriors.
You understand? They were not kings, but they were the heads
They were
of
like
the
the
city.
Baloguns.
Well,
the
so
warriors.
Gumola was a Balogun, but
Yes.
that leadership, we just call it a military system of governance. Not the military in the sense of the Nigerian military,
Yeah.
but a republic of warriors. Ibadan was a republic of warriors.
Ibadan, the Republic
Of warriors. That was what it was. And it was rewarding warriors. It was rewarding warriors throughout the 19th century. And you see how the reward of warriors was structured into what we now call the Olubadan system. You understand?
Yeah.
In the 19th century, you could leapfrog. Today, you can't leapfrog. You have to wait for somebody to die.
There is a pattern, an arranged pattern.
Yes, when it became fully civilian, no longer military, because they are no longer fighting. But when they were fighting, your promotion is tied to your success at war. You understand? And you could get away with some kind of indiscretion and some kind of what we not approve today. The warriors could get away with some of those things.
Talking about the warriors, how did the military then, the military in parentheses, how did the culture shaping Ibadan's governance and social structure at that time?
It started with it. It started with it. So that if you look at Maye, Oluyole, if I give you the king list, they divided them into two. Those who could fight, who fought, you know, it was always on the move.
Yes.
You must do an annual campaign. Once you are elected as overall leader, you must do a campaign. Go and expand the territory of the empire. And if you succeeded, you'll be rewarded. Now, and those who no longer can fight, they became civil. They became civil, like the Bale.
Yeah.
So if they name you the Bale, you're already civil. But they will still reward you for your previous value and successes. So they now created eventually a civil line and a military line, which both lines have succeeded till today. It was one of the most expansive empires in the 19th century in the entire continent, comparable to what Shaka's Zulu did within Fekane. It was. Let me illustrate very clearly because of your listeners. Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, a very distinguished person, his lineage still remains. So you must have heard about Kakanfò Hin.
Yes, sir.
By Lekan Ààrẹ. That was his family. So he called a cabinet meeting and he said, I want to initiate a war to end all wars.
Initiating a war to end all wars. Okay.
In a cabinet meeting. There's no time to elaborate. By the time that project unfolded, the Yoruba people had 250,000 standing army. 250,000. When Nigeria and Biafra fought, that was the maximum they could reach in that 3-year war.
Yes.
But the Yoruba armies, in this war to end all wars, became 250,000.
Wow.
That is massive.
Very massive.
If they had been able to unite, the British would not have conquered them.
Hence, they brought in the divide and rule.
Yeah, well, they also divided themselves, you understand? Ekiti, Ijesha, fighting Latosha.
Was that where the Ekiti Parapor came in?
Yes, it's against this Latosha. They fought for 16 years. Because in the war to end all wars, he wasn't bothered about Ilefe, Oyo. Ibadan never bothered about Oyo. There was the Balogun, who was the Alafin. I want you to come and send Bere to me. Bere is what you use to touch your roof. And he said, look, Alafin, send grass to me to touch my roof. So Ibadan never bothered about that. Yeah. So he was more interested in the southern frontier to get to the coast. And as he was arranging that, the people you call Ekiti Parapor saw an avenue to mobilize.
Okay.
And bear in mind, their leaders were like Ogudengwe. They were trained in Ibadan. They received their training here, and they fled to go and mobilize their own armies.
Yeah. Okay, Prof, we'll go on a short break.
Yes.
And when we come back, we'll discuss where tradition meets modernity in the post-colonial era. Right, stick around, don't go away. It's still the agenda. I am Chike Ubogu.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Casts. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back from that break. It's still the agenda, and I still have my guest in the studio, Professor Tony Falola. Well, before I went on that break, I told you we'll be discussing where tradition meeting modernity in the post-colonial era. Prof, Ibadan became a hub for education with the institutions like the University of Ibadan. But how did it influence the city's cultural and intellectual life? You know, talking about what you just spoke about, you talked about the pre-colonial era, and then we're looking at post-colonial era now.
Well, sometimes when we talk about tradition, modernity, it doesn't mean there's a break.
Okay.
That if you ask me, give me a date when tradition becomes modernity, I cannot give you a date.
It's a fluid transition.
It's very fluid. And the way it works is, and in the book that I released, The Past and the Present, in all countries of the world, there is always the past in their present. If you entertain me and you give me amala, that is the food of the past that you are walking to the present. And if you put a lot of pepper into that food, you are walking the tradition of eating pepper into the present. The reason why you are eating pepper in the present is different from why they were eating pepper in the past. In the present, you've acquired the taste for it. In the past, pepper, they were using it to kill bacteria. You go to the market, you come in, you carry in diseases. Bacteria is always with you. It's with this room as I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
And they were eating the pepper to kill the bacteria. Because Yoruba were eating food as medicine. Today, you are no longer eating food as medicine. So we've swapped the illness. Today, the illnesses are lifestyle diseases. Diabetes. That's a lifestyle, right? In the past, you're having disease associated with the environment, bad water or bad food. But they were able to use the food to cure those diseases. And now we're now using the food now to generate diseases. You understand?
Yeah.
So you see, we mango the past, If I tell you the number of Yoruba food we no longer eat, you'll be surprised.
Wow.
And why we're eating them, you understand? Even things like urogbo that you enjoy,
Yes.
it's a medicine.
Antibiotic.
It's a medicine. It boosts your immune system. You understand?
Yeah.
So when you put a wuro bitter leaf in your food, you are eating medicine. It's like just taking a tablet and swallowing it with water. So they figure that out. So you can work elements of the past to the present. But in doing that, it covers all aspects.
Okay.
There's no aspect it leaves behind. I just use food as an example. Take religion. When people sing, like Ayefele and some songs, there was a singer here in Ibadan. I listened to this sing. I contacted her. I said, you know, you call yourself a Christian, but you are singing praise of Eshu. Yes.
Do you remember that song?
I don't remember. I can find out.
So that I don't sing the praise of Eshu again.
No, but you sing the praise of one Orisha.
Okay.
If you are a Christian.
Okay, so what song is that?
There are so many, but you will not know that these lines were there in the past.
In the past.
Or they were Ifa. You understand?
They are in the old Rufa?
Yeah, but they won't know. You understand? Because they've just assumed that they're just loose words without meaning. But there are words that were connected some to Shango. I've listened to Christian songs that is borrowing from the praise of Shango, not knowing that it was Shango that is praising.
Can you give me an example? So we don't make mistakes anymore.
Don't let me embarrass our choirs.
No, you don't need to.
But they will always keep making the mistakes.
Okay.
Because they borrowed them from folklore.
Okay.
Or when they are praising God, they do not know there is a praise of Olodumare, Olorun Karabiti, Olorun Gbangba, and so many things. Because in Olorun ò lè ṣe, etí ò ní ṣe ló pọ̀ jù. But and if you take Christianity, right? If you take Christianity,
Yeah.
if you take the prayers, you will see a lot of the past, Yoruba past in it. The way people pray, you will see a lot of it there. Or if you take Islam, if you take Pentecostalism, you will see how they are reviving ideas from Orisha.
From the past.
Yes. If you see language, I can speak Yoruba. We didn't create it last year. It has been there before. And you see how you cannot run away. There's no aspect you can run away in which you are disconnecting that tradition from what you call modernity. And what you call tradition, bear in mind it was modernity.
At that time.
Let me give you an example. So there's what they call Asa. You don't know Asa.
Okay.
It's tobacco.
Tobacco. Asa.
Asa.
Okay.
They were snuffing it. A woman will snuff it.
Under the tongue.
Or put it there. And they'll be dealing with it. They'll be chewing it. Right? It's been there for a long time, but it didn't come. It was modernity because it came from Brazil. And what it did was, as it injects nicotine into your body, you can walk much longer and you can have energy, just as you are drinking coffee. You understand? We didn't create Orobo 2 years ago. It has been there.
Yeah, I believe you.
And we did not create Obi 100 years ago.
It's
been there. But I'll take Egungun for instance. I object to calling Egungun tradition because Egungun is modern. I went to madrasa. My history is completely unique to me. I went to madrasa, I was in the choir, and I went to Igbale. As we are preparing for the new festival, we will go to the market and buy new fabric. I will add a new fabric to the other one. I will make new shoes. We go to Dubai, buy new fabric to make new shoes. You can't just call that tradition, you understand? Because that tradition is also modernizing itself. If There was a time the Egungun will wear off your brocade. If you have a new material like Ankara, we just take strips, who had it. And I'm using that as an example of that tradition itself keep modernizing itself, and how what you call modernity keeps also borrowing from tradition. You find it in marriages. Our new KBC doesn't have one wife. He has 2, 3 wives. My father had 4 wives. That's borrowed from the past. So if you go to any space, if you go to the street, and you go to any market, they're manifesting the fusion. It's a fusion. The word we use in the academy, we call it hybridity.
Okay.
But I don't want to use it because of the audience, because I don't want to complicate the conversation. But it's a fusion.
A fusion.
You're fusing. When Professor Olabi walked in, I know he's older than me. And when he was talking with me, I was just listening. If you recall that conversational pattern, the only way you can understand it is eldatocracy.
Eldatocracy.
I'm respecting him. I'm respecting him. There were times I was not looking at his eyes. I was looking at the CEO as part of the respect for the elder. We walk that from the past. We call it modern. So younger people prostrate for me, or they kneel down for me. And if I want water now, they won't allow me to go and get it. They will go and rush to get it. So it's that fusion.
Okay.
And it's one of the things that we must never lose.
Okay. So now, where then is the issue between the tradition and modernity?
Well, the issues are, what are you editing? Because you must edit. You're a director, you edit. This conversation you may edit. So we edit. And each society edits things it doesn't want any longer. For instance, the Yoruba have always been very aristocratic and liberal, who are not killing twins, as the Igbo were doing. And then they stopped killing twins. That's editing, you understand? We never practiced cannibalism. And many societies didn't practice cannibalism. You keep editing and saying, this doesn't work for us anymore. That doesn't work for us anymore. The mistake we are making is that as we are editing, we are not documenting. That is a big mistake.
Big mistake.
Because you don't want people to forget what they were doing in the 17th century. If you want to edit, you must document. And the second fundamental mistake we make, how we got into that mistake, I don't know. We confuse Asha with Essin. Societies don't confuse them. You understand? There's Asha, there's Essin. Today now we lump them together, and we are now using Essin to destroy Asha. You understand?
Very well.
Because you can have an Asha. The Christian may come, the Muslims may come, and they say this is Essin. They don't like this aspect of Asha. You understand? And you keep your Asha, right? And you let them keep their Essin. But now we're allowing them.
There's a fusion.
No, they're not even fusing always. They can fuse, but we're allowing them to use Essin to destroy Asha. If you're a Pentecostal and you say they shouldn't do a Egungun festival, you are using Essin because you don't believe in it to destroy Asha. But you can say, keep doing your Egungun, right? But the younger people, you can't go to school now and say Egungun comes from heaven. You understand? You can't tell them that story anymore. But you can keep the performance.
Yes.
That's your Asha. And say, okay, the Christians say they don't want this. But it doesn't mean the Christian will say, don't do Egungun anymore. And that is one of the biggest mistake we are making. Very huge mistake.
And there's a repercussion for that mistake.
Serious one. Because you can't construct development without a cultural platform. You can't construct development without ASHA. So if you are governing, I do policy analysis because I'm not just a professor. I also do policy. You don't want Ibadan to become like New York, and you don't want Ibadan to become like London. And what infrastructure, you can do infrastructure. Infrastructure is never the problem. You can do as many bridges, as many roads that will look like New York. That's not the issue. But the issue is that the distinction between you and them is the ASHA that will give you that distinction.
The culture.
Yes, and that is the culture you need to create a development template.
Is there a loss of identity eroding the system right now?
So, yes, because you can have an identity loss. Identity loss is if I ask you to define yourself, you struggle with that definition. So you call yourself a Yoruba person. You don't speak Yoruba language. You don't wear Yoruba dress unless they force you to wear it during your traditional wedding ceremony. You don't eat Yoruba food. You understand? So, how then do we define you? Because we cannot define you outside of your language, right? Outside of your food, outside of your manners. So, that is an identity confusion. So, you understand? Because once we are unable to define you, your identity becomes very difficult to also define. And development is very difficult to work for you, because for you to do development, you must say, these are the cultural parameters we're meeting. You can't establish, the government cannot establish a school without that identity or cultural parameter. By the age of 10, I was able to read any Yoruba. I read all of Fagmua. That is how the school system was defined, right? To say, these are the citizens who will be producing. And in producing me as a person, I was able to have Western education and also be grounded in cultures. And because I'm from this city, I tell people, if you follow me, I can be walking for 5 miles and we will not step on any modern road. I will just be taking you through compounds. I can take you from, say, Mapuol, right, to Benla, the family of my mom, further down, without passing through the third road. Because we had our own roads passing through all those ancient houses. You understand? And we had roads built for horses. But don't kill the horse of your compound. That is the proverb I want to use to summarize. Never kill the horse of your compound, because you do not know when another person in your family will have money to buy a horse.
Yeah.
You may not even have a horse again.
Yeah.
And that is how Ashan culture is. Once you kill it, right, you may not have a replacement. And there may be no citizens to create substitutes. Thank you.
Culture. Ibadan has maintained its culture.
In many ways.
In many
and
ways.
Lost some.
And lost some. Yes. But when you look at social cohesion, or cohesion as it were, how has Ibadan been able to maintain its culture?
Well, it's all African societies do the same. You maintain culture by passing it to the next generation. Any religion you don't allow your children to practice will phase out. because your children that will retain and reproduce, there are those elements in which we are still able to pass from one generation to another. But there are also elements that we are not passing very well.
Okay.
And that will be tragic in the end. And some, before we fully lose them, we have to document them. And once we document them, at least we have a point of reference. So we must have a Yoruba documentation center, cultural center, trying to say, before we lose Igbo, which is a food we used to eat, let us document it. They call Ibadan Yorosun. If I go to school, I say, do you know Oro? I'm telling you, 80% of the student population here, they don't know Oro.
Ibadan omo aje oro ki won to sun. Is that the meaning?
It's a fruit. It's in the family of the apple.
Yeah.
Which it's stomach filling.
Okay.
Because it fills your stomach. You can eat 2 of it and then be satisfied.
And you're satisfied.
But how many people know Oro now?
It's almost gone into
in fact, part of what I'm going to recommend to Kabiyesi Ladoja is to quickly look for the Oro trees that remain, because it grows organically here, and we have to revive it. Or the trees we used to plant in front of houses, although we no longer have them. When I was writing the book for the Ibadan Central Council, there are only 7 of those trees left.
In the whole of Ibadan?
Yes. 7. So, but they grow here organically. So it means if you can get 2 or 3 of them, you can begin a process.
You can replicate.
Yes.
Okay. Prof, because of our time, you've been around for some time, and the political evolution of Nigeria is what you can speak about. Now, it's been a roller coaster of some sort. Do you subscribe to political restructuring or cultural renaissance as a way out?
Well, and you are talking at a moment when the Yoruba is looking for the Ibadan state, which is part of restructuring. And everybody talks about restructuring when they're out of power. When they get into power,
they don't talk about
they don't want to talk about restructuring.
They talk about their own largesse.
Because centralization is good. You are controlling the federal revenues. And if you restructure, you will lose a large percentage of that control. If federal systems are problematic anywhere in the world, unfortunately, we have not managed our own very well, because following the fall of the First Republic and the Civil War, we centralized federalism. You understand? By taking more power to the center. Let me use the analogy, the family analogy, of a man whose wife or wives do not know the amount of money in his pocket or in his bank account. You understand?
Yeah.
That's the best way to explain it. Because the best way to have a peaceful family is for the wife to know the amount of money
in your bank account
that you have. Okay, she doesn't know. And then you go out with Professor Falola to go and drink. And you come home and she says she needs so tomorrow. Because she doesn't know the amount of money you have. And you know the amount of money you have. And say, no, Mama Yabo, I don't have that money. Oh, Lord. You just walking now after drinking Gouda with trophy. And did I not see, they told me about that Sisi Grace that you are running after. And then she begins to look
for a way to convince you that you have.
Yes, or to say you have, but you don't want to spend it. So government structures can work that way. So Nigeria works in terms of centripetal and centrifugal forces. There are moments when forces will bring them together. They will all be happy that they are Nigerians. As when the women won the cup.
Yes.
Or when you are playing sports, you come together.
Yes.
In fact, a country like Nigeria, if they play soccer every day,
Nigeria will be united.
They will be united. You understand? With boxing and wrestling. Because that thing is uniting them. And then there will be things dividing them. And dividing them. And they over-centralize politics. When you over-centralize politics, you are going to get into trouble. Because Onjelu, Onshelu, Ijoba, they are not the same thing.
Okay.
We have Onjelu, you understand? They want to eat the city. Cities always have that.
Okay.
Onjelu, you understand?
Yes.
They are not Onshelu, they are Onjelu. And that will create its own problem, because the best business in town is politics. And let me tell you, here is the saddest news. After they've made that money from politics and they set up a business, they've used stolen money to set up a business, but they want those who manage that business not to be corrupt. That's a contradiction.
It's what do you call Oleji, Olegba. Okay, that concept.
Yeah.
So you're a proponent of, just in one word, you're a proponent of decentralizing power, devolving power, and having regions.
You have to decentralize power. But far more than that is ethical restructuring.
Okay.
Ethical restructuring. If you do political restructuring, and you don't do ethical restructuring, you are not going to get results.
That's the return of our value system.
Yes, because if I say let's create Oduduwa Republic, that's political. But there is no ethical restructuring. Everything you've been complaining about Nigeria will be reproduced in the Oduduwa Republic.
That Oduduwa Republic.
It will be the same thing. There is no part of the country that has a monopoly of thieves.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. You see, there are Igbo thieves and Yoruba thieves and Hausa thieves.
To round off, I want to put you on a spot now.
Please go ahead.
Are you saying, from what we've said so far about Ibadan, are you saying Ibadan has no indigene?
I never said that.
No, I'm just asking.
But I never said
When
that.
you mentioned the three systems, you talked
No,
about...
those are indigens. The layers of history.
Yeah.
Those are indigens.
Okay.
It's to say, there are indigens of Ibadan.
Remember, you call them Republican warriors.
Yeah, that still doesn't mean they're not indigenous.
Okay.
In the 1930s, right?
Yes.
They compile a list of the lineages
Okay.
that can qualify for titles. I don't want to mention names because some of them, I know them very well.
Okay.
True Ijebu almost became Olubadan. You understand?
Okay.
One of them, the name starts with an F. Because they entered the system. You understand? And this was a challenge. And then by the 1940, we now have a list of lineages. Like I'm from Iliagbo, documented. The crisis today now is that we have too many mortgages, too many of them. Because what then happens is that as the system becomes corrupted,
Okay.
they begin to hive. Hive means I'm from Iliagbo. You now say you are dividing that Iliagbo into four.
Into four.
So that you can have four mortgages.
mortgages.
And that is the crisis we're facing. So, as of today, we are facing three crises. The Cherokee line, the Yadolede line.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because some Olubadan wanted to make their wives preeminent lines in the Yalode line. And these are new practices. All societies will change. And you either preserve the change that will not destroy you or allow those changes to destroy you. These are some of the things I will be discussing with the new Kabisi.
Well, this your book, Ibadan in History, Issues in Tradition and Modernity. This book, going through it, I was at a lecture yesterday, and then page 172 of this book talks about Fabu, lies, humor, and cultural performances. Rounding off this program this morning, can you give us some of the Fabus in Ibadan? I know for you listener and for you viewer, get this book, Ibadan in History, Issues in Tradition and Modernity. When you read this book, you understand Ibadan better. But there's one part of this book that will make you laugh. And that is the Fabu, lies, humor, and cultural performance. There are some Fabus you wrote down here, especially the discussion between the present Obaladoja and Adedibu, late Baba Adedibu. The conversation is here. But I want you to give me some Fabu before we leave. I want to laugh. They call him Mule now. Mule. But I want you to give me some Fabu.
Well, so to those who do Nollywood and writing stories, Ibadan has a limitless supply of Fabu.
Oh. So is this the headquarters of Fabu?
It's very rich in Fabu.
Okay.
Because they're very rich with languages and idioms and spontaneous creation. Spontaneous creation. It means you
have what God doesn't have.
Ìṣọ̀lá ò níyàwó èmi ọkọ Lábísí. Ìṣọ̀lá ò lè mú ní mẹ́fà. Mo sì máa ní keje lẹ́ni kí n tó lọ. Torí bá ọmọkọ ṣe ń wò mí lèmi náà ń wò. Mo ti ṣẹ́jú sí mi, èmi náà ń ṣẹ́jú sí.
Ṣé ti rí kan báyìí?
Mo ti rí o. Tó bá ṣe díẹ̀ sí, ń wà gbé lọ sí ilé alámàlà. Tá à ń pè ní Iná Street. Àwa lọ jẹ bẹ́bẹ́ sú. Iṣẹ́ pepper soup.
Bẹ́bẹ́ sú.
Bẹ́bẹ́ sú. Ìjọba tí wàá ń gbé bẹ́bẹ́ sú. Ìjọba tí wàá ń gbé bẹ́bẹ́ sú mi. Àwa máa sọ̀tàn. Ṣé nǹkan tí ó mú mọ̀ ni pé bàbá mi ló ní Cocoa House. Èmi ò tí ì sọ yẹn fún o.
Ẹ tí ì sọ yẹn fún.
Ìjọ tí n bá máa dáná báyìí. Liberty Stadium máa fún màmá ẹ̀. Èmi ni mo sọ bẹ́ẹ̀.
Àjàwó lẹ máa fún yẹn.
Liberty Stadium.
Thank you, Professor Toyin Falola, for featuring on the agenda this morning. Yes, let's keep this conversation going. Do follow us on all our social media platforms, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The handle is at Dominion Broadcast, and on the app X is at Dominion Cast. Visit our website at www.dominion.org.ng. My name is Chike Ubogu. Stay blessed and stay positive.